3 weeks left to go. It's starting to get serious.
This is Donut. On the 2nd of July 2022, I brought this little orange horse home with me after being gifted him for £1. I started training him and he turned out to have lovely paces, a great jump and a fantastic attitude for eventing. Fast forward a year and a half and he qualified for Badminton Grassroots 100 on his first try. Now we are preparing for his biggest event yet. Welcome to Donut's Badminton Diaries.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another Donut Diaries installment. I am so sorry that it has been such a long time since I've done a proper check-in with you guys. If you've been watching the videos I've been putting out, you've been getting updates on him anyway, but I did really want to make sure that I've got this series as sort of like a specific thing of how we've done our run-up to badminton. And you can use it as a formula that works or doesn't work, depending on how we got on. So last video I did, we had 40 days to go, I want to say. We are now at the stage that we have 20 days to go. And that's until the Tuesday of badminton, which is the day that competition starts. From what I understand, half of my class will do dressage on the Tuesday, the other half will do dressage on the Wednesday, and everybody will also show jump and cross country on the Wednesday. So it just depends where you come out in the drawn order as to whether you do dressage on Tuesday or dressage on Wednesday. But I'm counting down to the Tuesday. We do intend on going there on the Monday though. So despite it being 20 days and 21 days until cross country day, whatever you want to describe it, so really 3 weeks until badminton, I am not viewing it as 3 weeks of training left, because if we're going to leave on the Monday, we need to be packing the lorry and prep needs to be done within the next 2 weeks. You're not going to change anything in the last few days, so we are really at that final crunch period to try and get him towards the peak that I can get him towards at the stage that we're at now. So I've got a lot to update you on, because we've effectively not done an update in 3 weeks, which is bonkers. So I've got quite a bit to get through with you. I've got a trusty diary. This is my sort of month to view diary, and it's how I plan my events. I don't know if you can see that, but it's also, I've written notes for this video on this side. I just like I have a different diary that's sort of week to view, and I also have my phone diary that I then put my teaching in. So I've got a lot of different ways of getting organised, but I like this month to view format so that I can actually see how the events plan out and then add in little training competitions, and I can see where they are in relation to each other. Everybody does stuff differently. I'm also just going to do a brief interlude. I haven't got mud on my face. It's a bruise, so I will talk to you more about the bruise. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen my story about it, but yeah, self-inflicted, and it's not too bad. It's just a bruise, and I promise I've not been scrapping. I did it to myself by accident. Anyway, I'm just trying to think what order we'll do this in. I've got a list of questions from you guys as well that you asked on my Instagram story when I put a sticker up. So if you're not following me on Instagram, this is a good hint to go and give me a follow, because you get a little bit of updates in between as and when I manage to do bits and bobs. So I think let's just start from the last video, and I'll give you a little bit of a timeline to where we are now. So last video, go back and watch it if you haven't already watched it. That happened, and then we went and fence judged at Thorsby. Now, this isn't massively relative to Donut's training, but it is in terms of me. So I went and I found it really inspirational to go and watch the riders going around. I was also a little bit jealous of everybody going around the novice course, because I knew that we're on the cusp of being ready to do that. And if he'd had runs early season, he'd have probably been ready. But then I probably wouldn't have entered anyway, because it's an international and it's quite a decent novice. So I didn't want to risk dropping our confidence down by pushing ourselves a little bit too hard before badminton. But next year is full intentions of going. So yeah, we had a day fence judging at Thorsby. Ground was impressively okay considering. And then that weekend we went off to Speatley Equestrian Centre and we went to a training show. So we took Maggie and Donut. It was Donut's first ever show out this year in 2024. And I'd entered like the BE100 combined training. So it was a BE100 dressage test and a 1 meter show jumping round. Only issue being there was 3 people in the class and I was 2 of the people. So it was one of those days. I did try to vlog it, but I was rushing around like a blue ass fly and we didn't really get much content. So I've not put it on. So I just thought you can see these clips as I tell you about it and that'll do. So he was a very good boy. He kept his cool. Obviously, he didn't get as much time to warm up as he liked because Maggie went on and then I had technically 12 minutes from the start of Maggie's dressage test until the start of Donut's dressage test. Now, of course, that was impossible. So they had to wait for me a little bit. But we ticked along through the test. It was relatively sweet, quite a lot to work on. He did have a moment where he had a dose of the spinnies and he wanted to sort of stop and spin around. But I figured it's a training show, so it's a really good opportunity to just stop him and correct it and go and redo the move. So I think he ended up with about a 35 dressage, and obviously we got a -2 in that as well because of the spin. Other than that, I was really pleased with him. Then we did the jumping, Maggie popped round, and then it was Donut's turn to have a jump round. It was a bit odd how they had to warm us up and everything because they don't have that many arenas there, and the ground obviously was a bit too soft to be warming up on the grass, so they'd sort of squashed everything in, so it wasn't a very easy warm-up system. So with the show jumping, you warmed up on the flat, and then you had to go in and you could pick any 2 jumps, warm up over those, and then you stuck your hand up and jumped your round. So it was a shortened course of fences, but it was enough to ease him in and at least get him out at a show. I'd thrown him in at the deep end a little bit, coming straight out at a metre. But he seems to jump a bit better over a bigger fence. So I figured, worst case scenario, we're going to knock them down, aren't we? And actually, as it was, he jumped actually really quite a smart round. There was lacking rhythm in places where we sort of sped up, slowed down, but overall pretty good. And just had 1 rail down, and he was also incredibly spooky into the double. But obviously with it being a training show and I was the last one to go with him, I just asked the show jumping judge if I could pop him through the double again afterwards, which Mum didn't catch on camera, but I just spun him round and popped him through it again, and he jumped through it like really quite confidently the second time. So overall a massively good training show for him. He got the benefit of it. Maggie got the benefit of going out because she was still being a bit naughty in a dressage at that stage. So it was quite useful to go. Oh, and there was a circus there as well, like literally over in the next grass field that's all like on the cross country course at Speatley. So that was interesting to see, but the horses didn't seem to care. Beyond that, I'll probably try and do a video more specific on this, but I think I've had quite a few of you guys mention about making sure I'm getting enough fast work into Donut. I can reassure you he is getting plenty of fast work. At my new base here, we've actually got the benefit of 3 gallops, grass gallops, a hill gallop and a canter circle. So with his hacking work, I tie in his fast work too. So I just pick which canter tracks I'm going to go to and take him round. I'll probably do a fitness video and tie in the fast work with that, and we'll discuss it further. But rest assured, the boy is keen bean and loving doing any fast work that he gets to do, and he's getting to do a fair amount of it. I try to make sure he gallops at least once a week, if not twice a week. I try to have a decent couple of days in between. I mean, for him particularly, he's more of a once a week guy than Maggie is a twice a week girl, because he naturally has those fast twitch muscles with being a thoroughbred. So Maggie's a bit bit more slower, a bit more cold-blooded, whereas he very naturally likes to run and gallop, so he doesn't need as much work on the gallops as she does. He needs more work in the arena, building up his slow and strong muscles for dressage. So that's a brief interlude into that, and something else I will do a separate video, whether I tie it in with the fitness or whether I do a separate one, is the feeding, I think, because there's so much to talk about. I'm not going to fit it in this update without making it incredibly long, but he's got a good feed regime, and I will talk about it more with you later on. So after we went to Speetley, we continued doing fast work, continued doing the schooling at home. I haven't had a lesson since last update. We've been sort of more out and about lately. We then went to Valeview to let him see his first cross-country fences, because that was on the Monday and we had Norton Disney booked on the Friday. So I thought it was really important they needed to see a solid fence, and the ground wasn't good enough to go on grass. There was no cross-country courses open. So we thought, next best thing, let's go and use the surface at Valeview. And if you want to watch that, I've put a separate video out, and that's out now, so go and have a nosy, see how we got on. I thought he was an incredibly good boy, and we then went on to the next bit, which was Norton Disney. So obviously we did quite a bit of dressage schooling to prep. I don't have dressage schooling videos, I'm sorry guys. Mum does come to help me run through my tests, but as a rule the rest of my dressage schooling I do solo or in a lesson. So maybe I'll get a PIVO or something one day so that you can see the whole session. I did borrow a friend's once, and it was quite useful actually. So when we went to Norton Disney, he was an excellent boy, and a bit like the Valeview, I've already put the video out for that, so you can go and watch that. Basically, he was excellent. He did a good dressage test considering the ground. I mean, everything was good considering the ground, because it was sticky and it was quite deep, and he actually got on with it great. And then he jumped his first ever double clear at 100 level, which I was over the moon with. He was so fabulous. So we just went too fast, like 8 seconds too fast. So we nearly got enough penalties to desert, like for a pole. I think we got 3.8 penalties for going too fast, which knocked us out of the placings. I think we'd have come either 5th or 6th if we hadn't gone too fast. But one of those things, when I've actually looked at it, there was a lot of people in the section that also went too fast. So I think there was possibly something that happened with the wheeling of the course, but it doesn't matter. We weren't going out for the placing, we were going out for the run, and he ran very, very well, especially considering sort of the limited prep on his run-up. Just before Norton, I put up some progress pictures on my Instagram, so I thought I'd show you that here. I think he's really starting to look like an event horse now, and you can see his top lines come up, his belly muscles have come up, and he's just looking a lot more toned and sleek and a lot better, which is brilliant. So after that, we then did more training. What we actually did was I didn't think that Norton would run, to be honest, with the rain that we'd been having, and it was very impressive that they managed to run. But with the fact that I really wanted to get a run in before badminton with him, I actually then decided to put a late entry into Burnham Market, and I did it for both Maggie and Donut, which was the following Friday, so only a week in between, because I thought Norton was going to have to abandon. As it was, obviously Norton ran, and then Burnham Market run, so we decided that would actually be his last event run, and we took him there. I've got all the vlog footage for that. I've not edited it yet. It will go out at some point. Again, very good educational run, not a run with a placing, but I will explain all when the vlog goes out. But what you need to know is it was good and it was very beneficial for him. Beyond the rest of that, I've been hacking him quite a bit just so he can get out and about. Obviously, he gets quite a bit of canter work in when he goes out hacking. I've been doing a lot of dressage schooling, and I've been trying to continue his conditioning. I didn't get as much done in between events and the likes because it was important to give him his days off and to run through his fresh dressage test and the likes. But I have been trying to do the lunging, and I've been starting to introduce poles as well, because it's just a really great opportunity for him to build up his muscles without any weight on his back. And effectively, it's like going to the gym and doing squats, isn't it? Go and work on your form and build up the muscles so you can do the rest of your work later on. So I think that is a very whistle-stop tour of what we've been doing in the last 3 weeks. I will now just go on to discuss our plan. We have a plan. I mean, I don't know what plan we're on now at this stage, because I had a plan before Christmas, and that plan is not the plan that we've worked on going forwards. But now I effectively have just over 2 weeks of training left. So now is the point where I'm really starting to fine tune what we need to do. So obviously he's been to 2 events. He's not going to go to any more full events now. That is that done. I don't want to be overrunning him. There's a fine line between having him well prepared and like run the legs off him. It's a case of knowing your horse and looking after your horse. Okay, so Burnham was on Friday, and then after Burnham he had a day off just resting, and then he had Sunday off as well. I'm just figuring that out. I've not actually written it down, just looking at the days. And then on Monday I lunged him over poles. You've just seen clips of him lunging over the poles. Yesterday I hacked him, and he had just sort of like a gentle walk and canter, just, you know, easy ozy, chilling out, not going anywhere terribly far, but went up a couple of hills. So maintenance day, I'd say. Tonight I am going to take him out to a clear round show jumping at it's a new local venue. It wasn't local to us before we moved, but we've been there once before. New Bold Verdon, and they do everything from 50 centimeters up to 1.10 meters. So I've entered him for the 1.5 meters and the 1.10 meters, and we'll see how it goes. And it's not competitive, I assume, because it's clear round. It'll be good for him to get in and jump a couple of rounds of show jumping. Then I will just continue the week on with just schooling, strength training, the likes. I can't do anything this weekend because I'm on my hypnotherapy course, but I then early next week am intending on going cross-country schooling at Barrowcliff to practice some technical bits, because that's something we've not done loads of, is sort of skinnies and turns on skinnies. So that will happen early next week. Then next weekend, 27th, 28th, I intend on taking him. On the Saturday, I've got about 3 clients at a dressage competition that I'm warming up. So I thought it's an unaffiliated, so it makes sense for me to turn up with Donut in the lorry, and I'll enter him for a couple of dressage tests just so he can get a bit more mileage going out and doing dressage tests, because he's only done like 3 this season, and to be honest, he's not actually done that many dressage tests in his whole life. I mean, God, if we think back to Donut this time 2 years ago, so run up for Badminton 22, this time 2 years ago, Donut was stood in a field having not even seen a jump. So actually it's a very good opportunity for him to get mileage. But we've got to remember that actually it's really impressive that he's just going to badminton and doing all of this, because he's learned very fast and it's happened in a very short space of time. So I'm trying to be mindful of sort of his lack of mileage and to help and support him as best as I can. So yeah, dressage on the Saturday, get through a couple more tests and a bit of practice. Then on the Sunday, I've actually entered a hunter trial to jump round a meter, and that's at Eland Lodge. And I'm hopeful. They have a broken bridge in it, and I can't remember if Badminton had it last year, but they certainly had a broken bridge the year before. And even though that's a rider frightened event, I'm very aware Donut's always quite aware of where his feet are landing. So I'm hopeful that they'll put the broken bridge in so that he has a bit of a practice jumping into space like that, because I can't think, he'd probably just get on with it. But again, it's just me trying to make sure he's as prepared as he possibly can be. So yeah, in terms of entries, from now until badminton, I'm going to enter a show jumping competition, a dressage competition, and a hunter trial. So he's got 3 more separate competitions where he can go and do each phase, but not all together in one. So we're just sort of specifically doing the skills training. I then want to do, obviously, go cross country schooling for the technicality. And then the other thing is I messaged Lizzie yesterday and I'm going to get a lesson booked just before badminton. So probably the Thursday before or something. And then that is it for him. That is the next 3 weeks planned out in my mind. It's all subject to change. I've put these entries in. I might change my mind and withdraw. We'll play it by ear as we go day by day. But that is pretty much the long and short of it. And in between, he will be hacking, he will be schooling, he'll be getting good feed, he'll be doing his canter work. Obviously, if I go cross country and I go to a hunter trial, I won't be doing work on the gallops because he will do his fast work when he's out in the cross country field. So I hope that makes sense and gives you a bit of an idea of where my head's going for what we'll be doing. It may or may not go to plan, and it may or may not be the right prep for him, but for right here and now, that's where I think we need to work on so that we give him the best possible chance of going and having a nice time. So just to round off, I've got my questions to answer for you. So first question that I've got for you guys, from you guys, is actually not about Donut, but I'll answer it on here. So what's Flinty's background? He's so cute. Obviously you get to see quite a lot of Flint because Flint and Donut are absolute best friends. Flint is 22 this year. We've had him since he was a 5-year-old. He was bought to be Mum's happy hacker. He was a bit of a Fruit Loop when she bought him. She couldn't afford anything sort of easy-ozy because she'd spent her money on buying a pony for me, selfless as she is. And yeah, I think she bought him, and when she tried him and she got off him, they'd sort of turned around and was like, oh, that's the first time anybody's got off him voluntarily, which, puts real faith in you, doesn't it? But we've adored him throughout, and I actually evented him at under 18s, and he's got a fantastic jump, but he absolutely hates going in the dressage arena, so trying to get him for a dressage test was very hard. I do actually think if I had him now, I could probably do a better job than I did when I was doing under 18s, obviously, because I've learned a lot more since then. But he's been a super horse. So he's been Mum's horse. He sort of ticks along, not doing very much anymore. He came to camp with me the other year. I ride him to and from the field bareback. He's a very well-bred Welsh Section D from the Pen Strumbly stud. He's very talented and we love him very, very much. And yeah, he's been with us for 17 years now. So, do Donut's old owners follow his progress or ever come to watch his shows? They've never come to watch him compete, but I am still in contact with his old owner. And yeah, I'm actually going to have a coffee with him on Friday to have a catch up. So yeah, he knows that he's in a really good place and he's pleased that we've done everything we've done, and he's been incredibly supportive the whole way through. So yes, we are still in touch. Will you put your badminton times up? Yes, I will. I don't know how nervous I'm going to be or not. Hopefully I'll be excited, but yes, I will put my badminton times up, I promise. Have I ever been to Badminton Grassroots before? No, I've never been to Badminton Grassroots before. I've only actually been to like big badminton. Once I went on a trip while I was at uni, and we went for the day, and I was quite travel sick from traveling on the bus, so I didn't actually get to enjoy the full experience anyway, because I was feeling a little bit like ick. So yeah, I'm quite excited. I've been doing my research and watching videos and finding out about it. I'm very excited to take part. I've tried to qualify quite a few times. I mean, the dream was to try and qualify Titan, but obviously we never managed to, and I'm so grateful for Donut to take up the slot, and hopefully we will do Titan proud. How am I feeling him coming on considering his late start? I'm not sure if you mean late start in terms of this year because we couldn't train all winter, or whether you mean late start as in he didn't learn to jump until he was 9. But either which way, I think my answer is actually the same. I am seriously impressed with him. The way that boy soaks up information, he is like a sponge and he tries so hard and it's fabulous. The one thing I am noticing is I would have liked him a bit more muscled up if I could have started training him a bit earlier this winter, and he's not quite as fit as Maggie is at this stage because obviously she came back into work much sooner than he did this year. But I think we're still on track. Can you do a packing / what you bring for a day or 3-day eventing? Yes, I will. I will add that on my list to do. I'll do packing. I've never actually done a 3-day event. Badminton, well, I went to Pony Club Championships with Titan. That was a stay away eventing, but we did everything all in one day. I am hoping to do 3-day events soon. Fingers crossed. So I will do packing, and as I learn more, I will keep you informed. And then last one is that somebody wants a fitness program. I promise I will do it in a separate video. So that is everything. I hope that was a useful, interesting update. I am so sorry that it has been so long in between. I actually filmed effectively a different version. It was last week. And I was trying to be good and use my microphone. And then I came to edit it and I obviously hadn't switched my microphone on. So, yeah, rookie error on my behalf. But you've got the video now. Like I say, I hope it was informative, useful, and interesting. And I will say goodbye now. Make sure to press that subscribe button to keep up with how we get on. It's really not long now, 20 days and counting. So keep your fingers crossed for us, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.